Hello, and welcome to another episode of Chuchu is a Ranker. It's been a while since we covered any movie content on this channel, but we're going back to the cinema for this episode as I'm going to be detailing my top 10 favourite films related to or about music. These are movies you're bound to get something out of if you love music as much as I do. Now, I will try to keep things spoiler free, but there's always the slight danger that something might slip out, but I'll try to keep that kind of stuff to a minimum. So, without further ado, let's be complete rankers and rank up a storm. These are my personal top 10 movies about or related to music. So, we're going to be kicking off this list with Music and Lyrics from 2007, which was written and directed by Mark Lawrence and stars Hugh Grant and Drew Barrymore. And what we have here is a winsome romantic comedy with some really fun musical overtones. Hugh Grant plays a character that used to be in a pop duo akin to Wham back in the 80s, but sadly he was Andrew Ridgeley to his partner's George Michael, having to watch his friend's solo career skyrocket while his floundered in mediocrity and failure, ending up a washed-up has-been who earns a living playing at 40-year-old women's hen nights and such like. But he gets one last opportunity when a current pop diva asks him to write a song for her, so he has to fight through his inability to write good lyrics by teaming up with a girl who waters the plants in his house, played by Drew Barrymore. And so it goes. There's a lot of the usual rom-com tropes and cliches, last-minute dramas, and a typically saccharine climax that you'll be digging out of your teeth for weeks. But it's also delightful and full of whimsy. The reason it makes this list though, and what makes it stand out from the sea of rom-com fluff, is the fact that the musical elements are done really well, and are often very funny indeed. The 80s pop video that kicks off the movie, for example, is hilarious and spot on. The inevitable butting of heads over creative direction is also fun to behold, as is Hugh Grant's perpetually embarrassed attitude for having released such crappy pop music. So yeah, this is a romantic comedy done right. It's charming and funny, Hugh Grant and Drew Barrymore have some great chemistry, and it makes for a great date movie. Good stuff all round.
The lyrics, their story, goodbye, who they are underneath.
How's my hit songwriter?
I slept with Sophie.
You slept with Sophie?
I think she's up. I gotta go.
All I wanna do is find a way back into life.
Hugh Grant. Grin? Grin again? Huh? There is a little something. No, there's a lot of something.
Drew Barrymore.
Best time I've had in the last 15 years was sitting at that piano with you.
That's wonderfully sensitive, especially from a man who wears such tight pants.
It forces all the blood to my heart.
I've been sleeping with a...
Next up, we have Velvet Goldmine from 1998, which was written and directed by Todd Haynes and stars Christian Bale, Ewan McGregor, Toni Collette and Jonathan Rhys-Meyers. And this British movie is a sumptuous celebration of the glam rock era from the early 70s. The plot of the film revolves around Christian Bale's reporter, who's tasked with finding out what happened to a disgraced glam rock star who became infamous for faking his own death on stage. Through interviews with the people close to the star, Bale starts to piece together a mysterious puzzle, with the giddy heights of glam rock success told through the use of flashbacks. And yeah, it's pretty damn great. Jonathan Rhys-Meyers' glam rock character is a thinly veiled satire of David Bowie, while Ewan McGregor is basically playing Iggy Pop under a different name. The music, costumes and period detailing is all excellent, and the rush of new success and the plunge into decadent excess and self-destruction is well done, if obviously predictable. The other aspect of this film is the very strong theme of sexual awakening and homoeroticism. It's very much a gay experimentation forward film and is extremely libertine in its leanings. I myself am a raging heterosexual, so that kind of thing doesn't really float my boat, but it's nice that it's there for the people who connect with those kind of aspects. But yeah, this is a well-acted, colourful movie with a killer soundtrack and deep ties to a certain place and time within musical history. It's a bit hard to find these days, but it's actually available to watch in its entirety right here on YouTube. I'll link it down in the description. It's well worth checking out. Coming next, we have La La Land from 2016, which was written and directed by Damien Chazelle and stars Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. And yeah, do I even need to talk about this one? It's fucking La La Land. Every person on the planet and their dog has seen this one. Still, this is successful for a reason, which is primarily because it's great. And what we have here is a wonderfully made musical, with a killer set of original songs, some absolutely delightful dance sequences, and a really effective romance between the two leads. The plot revolves around two souls struggling to achieve their dreams. Emma Stone as a floundering actress and Ryan Gosling as a jazz pianist wanting to save up and open his own club. The fun musical element obviously comes via Ryan Gosling's pianist, who is a die-hard fan of traditional jazz and is lamenting its waning appeal. During the course of the movie, he gets roped into being part of a jazz pop band, corralled into making the type of music that he doesn't really like. The conversation he has with his band leader, played by John Legend, about the validity of only sticking to traditional jazz is probably worth the price of admission alone. Also, the scene near the beginning of the movie where Gosling breaks into some free jazz piano while playing Christmas standards at a restaurant is unforgettable. Apparently, he couldn't play the piano at all when he signed on and spent months learning how to play. Damn, good job Gosling, I guess. So yeah, La La Land is an absolute joy to watch. It's funny and sweet and impressive and has a truly unforgettable final scene. Great stuff.
Maybe I'm not good enough.
Yes, you are.
Maybe I'm not. It's like a pipe dream.
This is the dream. It's conflict and it's compromise. It's very, very exciting.
Coming in next, we have Inside Llewyn Davis from 2013, which was written and directed by the Coen brothers and stars Oscar Isaacs, Carey Mulligan, Justin Timberlake and John Goodman. And this is another film about a floundering artist. This time it's Oscar Isaacs' folk troubadour who's having difficulty navigating the insular world of the 1960s folk scene. And if you're expecting an upbeat tale of a plucky underdog musician making it against all odds, well, yeah, shit, this definitely ain't that. This is a gritty, dark and wholly depressing film about the nature of failure and self-destruction. The titular Llewyn Davis is a deeply flawed character, and one that keeps making bad choices out of selfishness or lack of compassion. And the journey he goes on during the film takes him into his own personal purgatory. So yeah, this is a really well written, unique and interesting character study. It's superbly acted and it has a brutal emotional sting in the tale. Add into that a great soundtrack and a lot of fun folk scene related peripheral elements, and you have an unforgettable film about a struggling musician at a very dark time in his life.
It's not my cat, I just didn't know what to do with it.
Really? So, you bring your dick along too?
I should have had you wear double condoms. Well, we shouldn't have done it in the first place, but if you ever do it again, which is a favor to women everywhere, you should not. But if you do, you should be wearing condom on condom and then wrap it in electrical tape.
Oh, the weather is against me. The wind blows hard. And rain, seas are turning into...
I'm interested in gigging here.
Okay, let's hear something.
You don't want to hear the record?
Why should I? You're here. Play me something. Play me something from Inside Llewyn Davis.
Okay.
Next up, we have This Is Spinal Tap from 1984, which was co-written and directed by Rob Reiner and starring Christopher Guest, Michael McKean and Harry Shearer. And this is a mockumentary with most of the dialogue and scenes being improvised by the actors. And yeah, it's very funny indeed. As for the plot, well, there isn't really one. The film follows the fictional hard rock band Spinal Tap on a disastrous American tour. And whilst there is a sliver of a narrative about the band breaking up, it's really all about the jokes, of which there are more classic ones than you can shake a miniature Stonehenge at. Stonehenge. From amps that go up to 11, to malfunctioning stage pods, to the curse of dead drummers, to misogynistic artwork, to gorgeous classical piano pieces entitled Lick My Love Pump, the movie is an absolute riot, enhanced by the fact that the music that the band play is just absolutely terrible. So yeah, this is a classic through and through. If you haven't seen this movie, you have to rectify that. The film is actually available in its entirety right here on YouTube, so I'll link that down in the description too. Also, final food for thought. The guitarist Michael McKean played Chuck in Better Call Saul. When I realised that, I was like, what?
Is it any louder? Well, it's one louder, isn't it? Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder? These go to 11.
This is Spinal Tap.
Next up, we have High Fidelity from the year of 2000, which was based on the novel by Nick Hornby and directed by Stephen Frears. In it stars John Cusack, Jack Black, Todd Luiso, and hilariously Tim Robbins. And this movie revolves around John Cusack's record store owner, who, after breaking up with his girlfriend, decides to track down all of his major exes in an attempt to find out why he keeps getting dumped. And it's a really fun and fairly realistic dive into the toils of unsuccessful relationships. But the film is really brought to life by its deep attachment to music. There are tons of references and lots of fun, nerdy conversations between the record store trio of Cusack, Todd Luiso, and Jack Black. The latter of which gives his breakout performance in this. He's absolutely hilarious in this movie. So yeah, this is a fun comedy that's also romantic in a realistic, unsentimental kind of way. It's got a kick-ass soundtrack, great performances, plenty of quotable lines, and a main character who's obsessed with making top 5 ranking lists, which is, hey, obviously something that appeals to me personally. Also, I've read the original novel by Nick Hornby, and this is a rare case of a movie that's legitimately as good as the book.
You could grow on something.
John Cusack, Jack Black, Lisa Bonet, Joan Cusack, Eben Yila, and Lily Taylor.
Obviously, I know how special Laura is. I would hate it if I lost her. You know what I'm saying, G?
Get your patchouli stick out of my store! Get it, man!
Think about it, Rob. Okay?
High Fidelity.
I'm looking for a record for my daughter. I just called to say I love you.
Do we look like the kind of store that sells I just called to say I love you? Go to the mall.
What's your problem?
Do you even know your daughter? There's no way she likes that song. Oh, is she in a coma?
Next up we have Almost Famous, which is also from the year of 2000 and is written and directed by Cameron Crowe and stars Patrick Fugit, Billy Crudup, Kate Hudson, Philip Seymour Hoffman and Jason Lee. And here we have a rather lovely film that follows a 15-year-old kid who, as a talented writer, somehow hoodwinks the Rolling Stone magazine into sending him off on tour with his favourite band as a journalist, much to the chagrin of his overly protective mother, here played wonderfully by Frances McDormand. And this movie has a wonderful adventure element to it, as the band adopt the kid as a kind of mascot and introduce him to the debauched pleasures of the road, including to a bunch of underage groupie skanks led by Kate Hudson. And the crux of the drama here is the relationship between Hudson and the kid, and the dawning realization that your musical heroes aren't always the nicest of people. I mean, hey, that's always been blatantly clear to me, however, as I'm a huge Morrissey fan. But yeah, the 70s rock scene is nicely represented here, and the film is stocked full of wonderfully tender, heartfelt and moving moments. It's funny and light and sad and a very essential addition to this list. Wonderful stuff.
If you're going to be a true journalist, you cannot make friends with the rock star. They're going to fly you places for free. You're going to meet girls. Oh, God, it's going to get ugly.
I am telling secrets to the one guy you don't tell secrets to.
I know what's going on.
Your mom called!
I have family members with severe anxiety problems.
Hey, you want to go to a party with some good people looking to have a good time?
Don't take drugs!
Your mom kind of freaked me out.
It's Bowie!
Rock stars have kidnapped my son.
I am a golden god!
go home.
You are home.
Oh, man. You made friends with them.
Well, it was fun.
Because they make you feel cool. And hey, I met you. You are not cool.
Next up, we have Scott Pilgrim vs. the World from 2010, which was based upon the graphic novel series by Brian Lee O'Malley and adapted and directed by Edgar Wright. And it stars Michael Cera, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Brie Larson and Jason Schwartzman, among many others. The cast is absolutely star-studded. And this movie is about the titular Scott Pilgrim, who is a total idiot preparing for a battle of the bands with his indie rock band Sex Bomb, while falling in love with an enigmatic hipster girl and having to fight said girl's 7 evil ex-partners to the death in awesome badass fight scenes. And yeah, this film is an absolute riot. Everyone is hamming it up and having such a great time here. Chris Evans as a skateboarder turned douchebag actor is hilarious. Primary villain Jason Schwartzman is like the coolest, most fashionable bad guy ever. There's a climactic fight with samurai swords, a giant ape monster fighting twin dragons in the middle of a rock venue, and an awesome bass guitar duel that sends the loser smashing through brick walls. If it sounds dumb and totally over the top, that's because it is, gloriously so. The film is incredibly funny, kinetic, exciting, and filled with killer tunes and instant quotes. It also pays a lot of respect and homage to video games, which is another type of media that I have a lot of nostalgia for as a kid of the 90s. Hell, I'm hoping to wrap up this recording session so I can play a bit of Assassin's Creed Origins before bed. Anyway, this is a masterful cult classic that comes highly, highly recommended.
Prepare to feel the wrath of the League of Evil Exes.
Ramona dated twins.
At the same time. If you want something bad, you have to fight for it. Step up your game, Scott. Break out the L word.
Lesbian?
The other L word.
Lesbians?
What are you doing?
Getting a life.
You want to fight me for her? Why on earth would you want to do that?
Because I'm in love with her.
Scott Pilgrim versus the world.
Maybe next time we don't date the girl with 11 evil ex-boyfriends.
7.
Oh, that's not that bad.
Coming in next, we have That Thing You Do from 1996, which was written and directed by Tom Hanks, and starring Tom Everett Scott, Liv Tyler, Charlize Theron, Steve Zahn, and Tom Hanks himself. And this movie is about a fictional American garage band in the mid-60s who get swept up in a wave of success when their debut single becomes a hit and their money-hungry label becomes determined to market them like an American Beatles. And yeah, I love this film. Tom Hanks' passion just comes rolling out of the screen. The period detailing is perfection, the music the band plays is fantastic, and the atmosphere of the old world county rock shows and promotional TV performances is amazing. The band members themselves are all well-defined characters and all have their own moments to shine. The final scene involving the singer and main songwriter of the band in the studio, chef's kiss, probably my favourite music movie scene ever. It's so badass and so cool, even though the character is a total dick. So yeah, this film is wonderful. It's really exciting in the way it pulls you along on the band's ascent up the charts. The music references are spot on, the emotional drama works well, and Tom Everett Scott's main character is a delightful dude to spend some cinematic time with. I just never get tired of this particular movie.
Let's go. We'll change clothes and no, put that down. We've got people who do that for you, Jimmy. You got a hit record, for God's sake, on the plate.
So, here we are at the top of the mountain, and the gold medal for my pick of favourite music-related movie is going to go to Whiplash from 2014, which was written and directed by Damien Chazelle. Yes, he of La La Land again, and it stars Miles Teller and an absolutely magnificent J.K. Simmons. And here we have a relatively simple yet utterly intense and explosive story about a jazz drummer at a music college who gets picked to be part of the college's prestigious school band, at which point he has to deal with a monolithic amount of abuse from the merciless teacher and band leader, played with fire and terrifying rage by J.K. Simmons, who's just a real grade A piece of shit in this film. I mean, I know he has his motivations in chasing true musical perfection, but damn, the dude's lost his fucking mind. And yeah, this movie is so awesome. To say it's well acted would be a huge understatement. And the drumming scenes are visceral and exciting. They're like scenes from an intense action movie. And the climax, fucking hell, is just one of the coolest and most badass bits of cinema ever put to film. It shoots your adrenaline through the roof and makes you want to beat your chest like a primitive ape man. Whiplash is an untouchable masterpiece, and it's my pick for the best movie related to or about music. And that's it. That's my list. But of course that won't be your list, so please sound off in the comments section and tell me your own top 10 movies about music. Like, share, subscribe and all that other kind of YouTube jazz. Make sure to take care of yourself, but most importantly, just keep on ranking.
More harmful than good job.